refreshing. It says 2 waiting. So weird.
It says welcome to live chat. Remember to.
Oh, I see you. I see you now.
It's now? It's on?
Yeah.
You could see me like going in the camera.
I can see the chair.
Alright, so it should be good now. You should see me pop up in a second because there's like
I
there's.
see you sitting down.
Alright, sweet.
Wait, go where it says live chat. Do you need to do anything there?
I think I'm good.
It says you need to open panel.
I need to open the panel?
On my side, it's reading join the conversation to interact with the creator. Oh wait, aquí está. Charles Sierra just said let's go. So it's working.
But can you hear me like talking on the live chat?
Yeah.
Like on the chat? Not on the phone. Alright, so I'm just gonna start. And now for some reason I can't see it on my laptop. Why? We ain't stressed about it. There's gonna be a lot of opposition in the wave shaper situation because there's certain people that don't want us to say what we're gonna say.
Well, it's working.
It's working? Alright, cool. The only thing is now I can't see. Well, let me try to go from my phone now because on my laptop it's not letting me see the chat. So let me go to Wave Shapers on my phone and see if it could pop up on my phone. Share YouTube, play content. What is happening? I think I'm gonna have to do this without being able to see the chat, as crazy as that sounds.
I think you can make me
Because it doesn't let me on. Hey, whoever's connected in, I love you so much. We're having some technical difficulties. It doesn't let me. Are you looking at? Are we still on FaceTime? Look what it says on my Google Chrome. Video unavailable.
Okay, let me see, test. Okay, I'm able to join the chat now.
So on my Chrome it says video unavailable. So how can I see it? What
Here, look, just use my phone.
Wait, you mean like FaceTime the whole time?
Yes.
Why is it like this? Why is it like this? Wave shapers. Oh wait, I think I got it. All right, I'm able to see it at least on my phone now. I can't see. Test. Oh, I'm share playing something. I can't believe this is wild. Oh wait, let me get off FaceTime. I think it's that's hamming me right now.
Okay, bye.
This is wild. I was share playing a FaceTime, streaming it on my own. Man, this is amazing. Wave shapers. Gotta do it on my phone again. Live. No volume. Alright, let's go. Alright guys, we got 13 people up in here. What's up everyone? Thank you guys for waiting a few seconds. We had some technical difficulties and I don't know why it's so hard in 2025 to get on YouTube Live. This is ridiculous, alright? There's flying cars and it's hard for us to get on YouTube Live. Charles, I love you. Thank you for being on here. Somebody 4 weeks says, hi, what's up? Test. Where are you? It looks like a Chinese restaurant. I'm in my apartment right now. I'm not in a Chinese restaurant. Hi guys. Are these bots? Somebody said hello, I'm Chinese. What are you doing? Is that a real person? Or is that a thing now that there's bots on YouTube Live? Anyway, we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna get started, but from time to time, I will be looking down at the chat. So if you have any reaction or any feedback for me specifically, I want you to say it in the chat. You are here. We are here. All right. I appreciate that. All right, guys. I just want to share something from my heart a little bit. And I want you guys to be open-minded about this. Everything on the Wave Shapers channel is going to require an open mind. But specifically right now, I want us to start by slowing down. All right? So if you're like me, you had a really long day. My days start at 5 o'clock in the morning. And so been up for 13 hours, running it, working, exercise, self-improvement, calls, dealing with people, a bunch of stuff. So if you're like me, if you got a lot going on, if you got responsibilities in your life and you need just a second to slow down, I want you to let's breathe together. Let's take 3 deep breaths. I need them. So let's breathe in peace. Let's exhale anxiety. Let's breathe in abundance. Let's exhale scarcity. Let's breathe in wisdom and revelation. Let's exhale ignorance and stupidity. And with that calming down, I want us to talk a little bit about rock bottom. What is rock bottom? J.K. Rowling, some of you guys have heard of that author, said, rock bottom became the solid foundation on which I rebuilt my life. Rock bottom became the solid foundation on which I rebuilt my life. And guys, the book of Isaiah, whether you believe the Bible to be true or not, the Bible is the most read book in all time ever. It's the most printed book of all time ever. And a lot of what we see even today in culture, in movies, in songs, in the ideas of the philosophers that we follow or the people that we follow their podcasts or their YouTube channels, we get a lot of our content and our ideology from either the Bible directly or things that were derived from the Bible. And in the book of Isaiah, it says that we all, like sheep, have gone astray and gone our own way. And when we think about the human experience, right? Basically, at some point, all of us, and through different points of our life, we try to solve things and to make things happen in our own strength, right? We come into the world as innocent babies, flawless and perfect, but with this fallen nature. And then we come into this crazy world that we don't have to live too long before we realize that this is an imperfect world with flawed people, with free wills that decide to do anything and everything, which has caused the world to be in a fallen, flawed state. And I think we all can admit that, and we all can realize the reality that if you look around, and you just let life happen, you don't just naturally by default become a super happy, fulfilled, everything in my life is beautiful, everything's going smooth. No, like, life happens and life happens hard, and anybody that has been through anything realizes like life isn't fair. And then we experience these different pains and these different traumas in life. And basically, what happens is we have a reaction to that pain and that trauma. And usually, what our first reaction to that pain or to that trauma is trying to figure it out or trying to solve the situation the best way we know how. It doesn't mean that we're evil for trying to solve our trauma. It doesn't mean that we're evil for trying to cope with our pain. It doesn't mean that at all. It's natural human behavior. It's survival instinct to, when you're hurting, to immediately want to be relieved from that pain. And since we come into the world, and from the get, you realize that the world is not perfect, that the world is flawed. And we, even as children, we don't receive the things that we were created honestly to receive. What is the primary need for every single person that has ever come into the world? What is the foundational need for every person that has ever come into the world? It is to be unconditionally loved and unconditionally accepted. The way that we were created, humans, we were created so that in order for us to be fulfilled, we need to be unconditionally loved and unconditionally accepted. And that's the starting point, right? Like, that's the foundation. On top of that unconditional love and unconditional acceptance is all the other stuff that we need, right? We need to feel like we're valued. We need to feel that we have a purpose. We need Maslow's hierarchy of needs, right? We need self-realization. We need the basic things such as food and water and shelter and this and that. So we need a lot of things in order to be well and in order to be fulfilled. But the thing is, the first thing that we ever need is to be unconditionally loved, unconditionally accepted, because we were made to love and for love. And you know what? Our parents couldn't give us that unconditional love and acceptance. And right now, understand, like, it's good to think of the things that we're talking about and exploring here in Wave Shapers in terms of yourself, like in terms of your own experience. But it's also good to think of it in terms of like the human experience and in terms of a theory that you're formulating and a perspective by which you can view the world. Because sometimes we get so enclosed in our little bubble and we think that our lives and our experience is the only thing that exists, but it's not. It's not. And it doesn't matter whether you had awesome parents, and thank God for awesome parents, parents that did love you, that tried their best, that tried to do, give you everything that you needed, try to give you proper care and education and whatever. Maybe that was the case, or maybe the case was that your parents were so sick and so hurting that they were in so much pain that they abandoned you, that they couldn't give you care, that they couldn't give you love. But in either case, and everywhere in between, your parents lacked a lot of things. And you see, there's this principle, and the principle is that you can't give what you don't have. So because your parents didn't receive unconditional love and acceptance and have perfect parents who are your grandparents, like their parents, then there was no way for them to give you unconditional love and unconditional acceptance if they didn't even have that to give. And how could they have had that to give if they never received it? And so you come into the world with these foundational, all-important needs, and then your needs are not met. And when your needs are not met, then life becomes a chase of trying to get my needs met. And we're not smart at this. We're not good. We never did this before. We never lived our life before. We never knew the differences between spirituality and emotional health. And like, these are things and concepts that we're talking about now. And why do I bring that up? Because basically we tried to get our needs met in the wrong ways. You know, we tried to deal with the pain of not being unconditionally loved and accepted, maybe from our parents, or having a faith crisis, or not being sure of what we believe. We try to mask that pain, or cope with that pain, or deal with that the best way that we know how. And that reality that we try to deal with our pain in the best way that we know how is what Isaiah is referring to when he says, like sheep, we have all gone astray and all gone our own way. AKA, all of us have wandered to try to figure out our life and do the best that we can figure out, the best that we can come up with. And, you know, one of the big conversations that we have here in the Wave Shapers tribe is the conversation of addiction, is the conversation of coping. And first of all, we all have things that we use to cope, right? It's so easy to hear coping mechanisms and immediately to think drugs and alcohol, alcohol, and sex, drugs, alcohol, sex, and porn. But we all use things to cope, right? Some people cope, we've talked about this before, with buying things online, right? Shopaholics. Some people cope with validation that they need to receive online. If you find yourself going to Instagram 20, 30, 40 times a day, you know, try to delete Instagram from your phone and see how many times you reach to actually grab it. Why is that? Why are you doing that? It's because you're using the small dopamine hit that you get from these social interactions to soothe the pain or to cope with whatever in your life you either don't know that you need to deal with, or you know that you need to deal with but you don't want to admit it, and so you're in denial, or that you know that you need to deal with and you can admit it but you don't know how, and so we continue to cope. And then the thing is this: when we use these things to cope, right? Anything from shopping to eating to porn to sex to drugs to alcohol to work. There's workaholics. Anger is an addiction. All these things become addictions that we use to just try to get by life, to feel better about ourselves, to get through another day. When we use these things to cope, there's a principle called tolerance. How many of you guys have heard of the principle of tolerance? What's the principle of tolerance? The principle of tolerance is that whenever you do something, at the beginning, it provides the most pleasure. And as you continue to do it, you need more and more of it in order for you to try to achieve that same high, in order for you to try to achieve that same comfort that it gave you before. And because of the principle of tolerance, and because of our survival instinct as humans, there's a vicious cycle that's created, and that vicious cycle is called addiction. Right? So the principle of tolerance, it is very obvious and notable when we are talking about drugs or alcohol, because when you first get introduced to alcohol, which I was 22 years old, the first time I ever had a drink in my life. It's pretty crazy, right? I had never had a drink in my life until I was 22 years old. 22 years old, again, dealing and coping with a bunch of pain and a bunch of things that I was genuinely lacking. A bunch of real needs that I had. I just didn't know how to get my needs met. And then I was introduced to alcohol, and I got drunk the first time I ever, tried alcohol, some wine from Publix. But anyway, the point is that you drink alcohol, for example, and it works. That's the thing that a lot of people don't like to talk about. But we have to admit is that these things that we use to cope, they work. If they didn't work, we wouldn't use them. right? Why are there so many alcoholics in the world? Why is drinking and drugs and porn and sex, why are these things billion-dollar industries, and why do so many people indulge in them? Is because they work. They temporarily soothe that pain. They are an escape. But then the principle of tolerance comes in, and we got some people talking in the chat. Somebody said preach. Somebody said insanity, attempting to feel better. Oh, my boy Ramon is on here. Thank you for sharing these truths. You're needed in the world. Oh, bless you. Anyway, I'm going to go back. So then the principle of tolerance is introduced. And now what used to make me feel comfortable with a glass of wine or 2 glasses of wine, now that's not cutting it. And so you keep going deeper because you're aiming to get that same numbing effect that you got one time, or that you got multiple times, or that you've gotten. And so you continue to go deeper and deeper into the realm of addiction. And that right there, that process of going deeper and deeper into your own way, the way that you're trying to solve it, that is the process that Isaiah is referring to when he says, as sheep, we've gone our own way. And that thing, we talked a little bit about it last week, but that thing that makes you choose alcohol, right? Rather than focusing on your healing and dealing with the issue, that thing that makes you run to drugs, that thing that has you addicted to sex, that thing that has you addicted. What is that thing, man? What is that thing? What is that thing that these artists, that are killing themselves, they're ODing on drugs, they're this and that. What is that thing that keeps them so blind that they just keep going more ham and more ham? And that thing has multiple different names. And we can get tripped up on the name. We can get tripped up on the name. One of the names is the flesh nature, right? Or the fallen nature. I think the technical term for the fallen nature of man is called sark, like S-A-R-C, I believe it's spelled, and it's an ancient word that in essence means our fallen nature. Another way to look at it is what we talked about last time, which is in the chariot of the soul that's being pulled by 2 horses. It's the horse that wants to pull you down to death. That little devil on your shoulder. That's how we saw it when we were looking at Tom and Jerry, right? When we were like kids. I'm out. Some of y'all so young, you don't even know what Tom and Jerry is, but in Tom and Jerry, in these old cartoons, there was a little angel on one side and there was a little demon, a little dark angel on the other side. That's a real thing, man. That's just a picture, a metaphor for something that is real, because there is a side of us that tells us you can do it, you can get up, you can face your addiction, you can overcome all the hurt in your life and become a better person. And there's another one that says, F that. That's too hard. Run to the bottle. Run to the ways that you've been coping. And we get scared to let go of the things that we've been using to cope because they've been efficient in helping us to numb the pain, right? Another word for that thing that makes us choose coping mechanisms rather than facing the real problem or chasing the real solution, is called the ego. The ego. Somebody once said that ego was an abbreviation, and the abbreviation stands for edging God out. And that's an interesting way to look at it, because our ego is that thing that makes us self-reliant. Our ego is that thing that keeps us prideful so that we want to keep doing whatever we're doing. Our ego is that thing that keeps us from surrender, and from repentance. The two voices that are present in our life. It was Plato. I'll read the actual quote. Oh, we got 1992 up in here. We're in here, guys. I'll read the actual quote. It is quote. It is Plato. Plato said, "The chariot of the human soul drives a pair of horses." Do this mental picture right now. Imagine that you are your soul, and your soul is a chariot, right? Do you know what a chariot is? Think of like a closed chariot, like Cinderella, right? So you are your soul and your soul is a chariot. And the chariot is being pulled by two horses, a pair of horses. Plato said, one is noble and of noble breed. The other is ignoble and of ignoble breed. The task of the charioteer is extremely difficult and troublesome. And what does he mean? He means that it's freaking hard to live in the tension that we live, guys. It's hard to know the truth, but the truth be the hardest thing to do. It's hard to have these things that we use to cope, but to be like, nah, I'm not going to cope with that. I'm going to do the hardest thing ever, and I'm going to face my fears. I'm going to face my childhood trauma. I'm going to face the fact that I'm scared that God exists. I'm going to face... That stuff is hard to face. It's not easy. And so many of us have spent our whole lives in this process of like wanting to do better, taking a couple steps, and then falling back to the things that we were using to cope. And then like wanting to do better and like, I'm going to change my life, but then like, I'm going to not fully surrender. So I'm going to start waking up at the right time, but then I'm not going to, and it's hard. And man, people that know me, people that really know me, people that know my life and my trajectory, they know that I know that what Plato said is true, and that I know the struggle, because the struggle is real. How has this struggle manifested in my life? I'll give you an example. Haven't seen a couple friends in a couple months. I went ghost mode, monk mode, freaking semen retention, all the way ham, right? You guys know what time it is. Went all the way ham skis. Show up, meet my friends. Yo, Rue, where you been? Bro, I've been in the chamber, been waking up at whatever o'clock in the morning, been doing my self-improvement. I'm taking care of my body, my spirit, my soul. I cut out a bunch of vices. I'm doing this. I'm doing well. I'm there like, boom, see me on. I'm making music. I'm doing what I love. I'm connecting with my family. Promoting and working at having a healthy life, a fulfilled life. Like doing, that is the grind. The grind is not about waking up hella early and going to sleep hella late. No, it's about investing in the things that actually make a difference in your human experience and in the lives of the people around you and the lives of the people that you love. So I'll show up. Rue, while you've been off the map, I've been going ham. And I was going ham. Because if there's one thing that I do have by the grace is that I'm very honest. So I'll tell my friends, I've been doing well. Then my friends see me 6 months later at a party and I'm hammered drunk and I'm just like going ham. Now, what is that? What is that? That is my ability or inability, my willingness or unwillingness to face the things that I need to face in my life straight up, or if I'm gonna not face them and the shame and the reality of not facing them is gonna hurl me into coping, right? And so the first time that my friends saw me and I had been on monk mode and this and that and like all this different stuff, basically I was facing life head on. I took an inventory of my life, kind of like what our topic last week was, what do you really want? I took an inventory of my life. I asked myself what I really wanted, and I just started taking steps, baby steps to get there, doing things that really matter, prioritizing what really matters. The second time they see me months later, I'm hammered drunk, I'm going ham in that season of my life. I maybe the pressure got turned up. Maybe I dealt with pain. Maybe there was my flesh, my dark horse, the devil, whatever you want to call it, my ego, this and that, somehow got inflated and elevated enough that I stopped choosing the road to redemption, the road of restoration, and the road of surrender. And I started, even if I didn't say this with my mouth, I started saying again, nah, I'm gonna live this life the way that I want to live it. And who is that I anyway? But I'm gonna solve this stress the way I want to solve it. And most of the time what we do is we revert back to the way that we used to deal with the stress. Because the easiest addictions to fall into are the ones that you've had trouble overcoming before. Another way to think about it is once you're addicted to something, you're always an addict. I don't like admitting this one. I don't like talking about this one. This one's hard to say. But like, if you did once deal with alcohol and you used it to cope, like for real, can you ever really, really trust yourself or put that as a part of your life and it not be a wild risk? I don't know. I feel like it's always going to be a wild risk because you already coped with that before. Whereas, for example, and that is a case for my life, you know, and all honesty, that's a struggle. Back, once again, the struggle is real because I like having a drink. I like having wine. I like going to the beach and having a couple beers with my broskies while playing spike ball and volleyball. I like that stuff. My flesh likes that stuff. That is a comfort. That is a thing. I'm not going to lie to you and say that I don't like that. No, I like that stuff and it works in the sense of you have a freaking stressful day and a stressful week. Yeah, have 3 glasses of wine. You'll be like, you know what? It's chill. It's chill. But the thing is, if I'm going to be real with myself, I already realized, first of all, that I had an unhealthy relationship with those things that I used to cope. And second of all, I realized that it doesn't work. Which is probably the more important reality, is that it doesn't work. Using these things to cope. Look at your life, bro. I had to look at my life. I had to look at my life at 28 years old and I had to say, bruh, I've been going hamalang sangi. That's some of my friends and I talk. I've been going ham sandwiches when I was 28, 29 for 6, 7 years, 7.5 years, trying to figure this out myself, trying to do this my own way. Brev, and I am not making progress. Like, I'm in the same place. I'm still sad. I'm still depressed. I'm still not where I want to be in my purpose, in my career, in my this and that. And like, at some point, it's not even an issue of like a moral thing. At some point, it's an issue of like, bro, this doesn't work. You know? Like, I think somebody was saying that before. The definition of insanity is to do the same thing over and over and to expect a different result. And at some point, I started kind of having to face myself in the mirror and be like, damn, Rue, like, you're acting insane, bro. You're acting insane because you told yourself that you realized that this life of whatever you're trying to cope with, going out partying, trying to fill myself up with music, trying to cope with weed, trying to this and that, you told yourself that that junk didn't work. So if you're going to keep doing it, cojoyo, like, you're hemming yourself, you know? Which brings up another side point, which is we are our only enemy, man. You know, we talked about that last week also. The problem in your life is not outside of you. The one that you have to overcome is you. Is that ego? Is that sark? Is that flesh nature? Is that horse that's pulling the chariot of your soul and wants to pull it down to destruction and hell? We said last week, what was the quote that we said last week? I wonder if I still have it here. But I said, I don't have it written right in front of me, but if you're not happy with the results that you're getting, then you need to change because they're your results. I'll say it again. If you're not happy with the results that you're getting in your life, then it's you who needs to change because they're your results. And I want to kind of finish up. That's right. Somebody said Romans 7:15, for what I want to do, I do not do, but what I hate to do, I do. That's right. That's right. And what Paul was talking about there was the reality of this flesh nature, the reality of this sark nature, the reality. It was real. He was calling it like it is. He wasn't trying to be holier than thou. He wasn't trying to be too spiritual. He wasn't trying to say it's easy for me to live a life that is progressive and that is honest and that is full of integrity and that I'm proud of. No, that ish is not easy, because right every time when I want to do that, there's something inside of me that tells me, go smash someone. But for real though, can we call it like it is? Every time, always present, because this is the thing. It's part of the human nature. So somebody said this. Then I want to talk a few minutes about rock bottom, and then I want to open up for any questions. And then we'll jump off here. Thank you guys for being a part of this. I love you guys. If the conversations that we're having are like, dang, these are interesting conversations and we're about to go more deep, we're just getting started, I want you to please share this with somebody. When the live ends and it goes, and it stays on the YouTube channel, send that to somebody. Just say, join the conversation, especially if they're an artist in music, film, or fashion. But anyway, somebody said something interesting one time. They said, when we're reborn, right? I'm not going to get into the whole doctrine of rebirth, but when we're reborn, right, or after we surrender and we're born again, after we hit our rock bottom and we come back to life and we have a second chance, right? Our spirits are saved in an instant. Our souls need to be renewed daily. And our bodies need to be forever submitted. Right? So your spirit gets saved in an instant. And the moment that you surrender to the Creator, and the moment that you fully surrender, and you say, I can't do this on my own. I don't know. I'm not religious. I don't want to be religious, but I can't do this on my own, and I surrender. In that moment, there is an opportunity for salvation. Salvation is when your spirit is automatically, you're reborn and your spirit's fine. Your spirit's not your problem. Rue's spirit has never been Rue's problem. During these last 4 years that I've been trying to do the best and trying to walk the path, but I've had multiple relapses. I've said this. I'm not scared to say it. I don't owe y'all anything. I owe my Creator and my friends and my family and myself honesty. And I've had multiple relapses, and I've been doing well, like I said, months at a time, just on my grind, on my ish, on my killing it. And then all of a sudden, before I even really realized, kind of like a slow fade, whatever, this and that. And then, oh my gosh, I'm doing the same things that I said I would never do again. Those things, particularly in my life, had to do with sex addiction, had to do with alcohol abuse, weed abuse, being overly obsessive and egoic about my music and having delusions of grandeur with that. All these different things and other things. But those are just kind of like the ones that it's like, it's so evident that I'm relapsing right now. You get what I'm saying? When that happens, my spirit's not my problem. And to be honest with you, in those moments, how we get there, the problem's not really in your body either, because your body doesn't make decisions for itself. Your body tells you what feels good, right? Your body says, I want to feel that. And it feels good to have sex, and it feels good to oversleep, and it feels good to overeat. Same way that it feels good to get drunk. Same way that it feels good. All these things feel good, and your body has these senses and it feels the senses, but the real problem is in the soul. Because your soul is made up of your mind, your will, and your emotions. And your emotions are making you feel some types of way that then your will says, nah, we're going to go ham. We're going to party. We're going to cope. We're going to do this. Do you get what I'm saying? So the problem, the middleman of the soul, is where the issue happens. Because you already know when you're driving down to downtown Miami. You already know when you're driving down to Wynwood. You already know when you're on 95 express lanes going ham down there. Or you're going to Fort Lauderdale. Los Ola is about to pop up. My friends invited me. Or a house party. These jam house parties that I used to love to go to. I already know when I'm in my Jeep driving down there. My will already made the decision, bro. Like, and whether I get drunk tonight or I get drunk the next time that I drive down here, I'm already slipping. Not because Wynwood is evil, not because Fort Lauderdale is evil, not because a house party is evil, not even because alcohol in and of itself, by itself, is the evil thing. No, but because my flesh nature, that evil thing that lives inside of me, already decided that it's going to use and abuse these substances to cope and to not have to deal with the real issue in my life that I got to deal with. You feel me? And I just want to say one or two things about rock bottom. Have you hit your rock bottom yet? I end up having all these like kind of notes and just thoughts that I've been thinking throughout the week. And then I forget to look at it while we're talking. So, and then after I'm like, man, I could have said that. That's so good. Oh, the only solution to this problem is to get sick and tired of being sick and tired. Where rock bottom and the reality of your shitty situation, that's right, I said shitty situation, is more than the fear to do something wild like free falling in surrender into your only real option. The one thing you've been avoiding. What about that? The only solution is to get sick and tired of being sick and tired, bro. When we're doing these things and we're living according to our own standards and we're trying to make it happen for ourselves and we're in repetitive cycles and we're using things to cope, and to make it very simple, we're not living in full health in our spirit, in our soul, and in our body. You want to know what the solution is? Or one half of the solution? This is where the whole point of this video comes together and what I'm going to say next. So focus in, tune in, tap in, actively listen. When we're on our way and we're trying to live the life that we want to live, trying to make it happen for ourselves, using things to cope, not living healthy, there's two parts to salvation. There's two parts to redemption. There's two parts. The first part is the situation getting so bad that you have to wake up and realize that this shit ain't working. Do you hear me? That is the first half of the solution that you need in your life, that everybody needs in their life. It's for ish to get so bad. It's for you to get so frustrated. And for me, it was for me to get so empty and so frustrated emotionally, partying and drinking and dating 3 girls at the same time and doing this, and like it was, and I was so tired of that crap. So tired of that crap. That I had a spiritual experience. My rock bottom was a spiritual experience that had to do with demons and all this stuff, man. Asked me to tell you guys about that. But it was so bad that I literally had to say, dang, this crap is not working. Like the insanity, the fact that I was living insanity was like, nah, bro, I have to deal with it. So that's the first half. Rock bottom is the first half. So what if what you need in your life is for these mattresses that you have, these things that are helping you cope, what if they need to disappear? Because if you've been stuck in a repetitive cycle, but whenever you go home every night, you have a glass of wine, you eat some Ben & Jerry's ice cream, and you binge watch Netflix, and that's kind of what's keeping you sane, then guess what? In order for your real transformation, you need to eliminate that Ben & Jerry's, that freaking Netflix, and that wine, because once you can't use that to cope, the reality of life's going to hit, and you're going to say, damn, something needs to change. That's the first half. And the second half of salvation is when that happens, when you do hit rock bottom, when you actually hit that spot, instead of resisting it, instead of being hard-headed, instead of doubling down, for you to surrender to the fact that you need to change. For you to surrender to the fact that you need to surrender. So again, let's talk about my life. At the end of 2020, I'm hitting this rock bottom, right? Emotionally, spiritually, physically, give or take, and physically, yes, because I was putting my body through disgusting things and like all like whatever, abusing it with not sleeping enough, drinking too much alcohol, whatever. But in another sense, like, I was very healthy. I was exercising. I don't know. So there's interesting things there. But it definitely was not caring and loving for my body. So the point is, I'm hitting this rock bottom, right? Boom. At that moment, I have a choice. Rock bottom is a place of decision. Rock bottom is a place of choice. And the choice is this. I could have decided to be prideful, to double down. And what would Rue have done if he doubled down? I need to cope harder. So who knows? I could have coped harder than what I was already coping by opening myself up to other drugs, right? You want to cope harder? Freaking Breaking Bad this bit. You want to cope harder? Hello, heroin. You want to cope harder? Now I'm at space, popping Molly, partying every weekend, for freaking 15 hours straight and not getting any rest and not eating. You get me? That I never did those specific things. Not that those things are any morally worse than what I was doing. I'm just saying, like, that would have been me pushing in even harder to the I need to cope and escape my reality. I could have, I could have coped harder in the sexual. I could have coped harder in the drugs. I could have coped harder. I don't know. I could have used something else to help me cope. What if I would have gotten dumb obsessed with money? What if I would have started doing illegal things to make money, and now I'm using money to cope? A little bit of money, a little bit of substance, a little bit of girls, a little bit of this, a little bit of whatever. But when I hit my rock bottom, I had a choice. I can either double down on the coping, double down, I'm going to keep trying to figure this out myself, or you can surrender. You can surrender. And one of my great friends and mentors said something to me awesome today, man. He said, when we're at rock bottom, I was asking him, is there anything we could share about rock bottom? And I think he got this from one of his friends. But I want you guys to remember this, and we're coming to a close here. When we're coming to rock bottom, first, we have the opportunity to realize. If you're there in your house by yourself, I want you to go like this. Realize. When you're at rock bottom, first we have the opportunity to realize. Then after we have the realization, after we realize, then we get real eyes. We can see things clearly. We could see things as they are. And after we get real eyes, then we can look out in the world and in our life and we can see the real lies. Damn, that's good, bro. I'm going to say that again, like if I never said it before. When you hit rock bottom, it's an opportunity to realize. Once you realize, then you get real eyes. And after you get real eyes, then you can see the real lies. So let's take, to finish this, let's take the story of the prodigal son. The prodigal son hits rock bottom. My boy is eating garbage. His family's a wealthy family. He lived blessed. He lived in peace. He lived in all this. And then he goes out. He goes on his own. He's trying to figure out his own life. He's trying to cope with whatever he wants to cope with, whatever pain he was trying to deal with. Prostitutes, this, that, all these different other things. He finally hits rock bottom. And the first thing that happens, it says he came to himself. Which means he realized. He hit that moment where he said, damn, something's got to change. This is not working. That's called realization. Once you have the realization, then your eyes are open and you look around and you're saying, oh my goodness, bro, I'm not sleeping. I'm abusing my body with alcohol. I'm freaking spending way more money than I have and I'm getting into debt. I'm freaking coping by serial dating a bunch of people. I'm coping with pornography. I'm coping with this. You have real eyes. You can see. And then once you can see, then you can have the opportunity to see what's real and what's fake. You see the lies. You see the real lies. And that, my friends, is the blessing of rock bottom. So I'll finish with this. If you've been doing the same thing for years and years and years and you're not satisfied, here's a different kind of prayer that you can pray. Creator, Lord, Father, help me to reach my rock bottom as peacefully and gracefully as possible so that I can come to the end of myself and I can realize and I can fully surrender. What a prayer. And when you see your mom, your dad, your brother, your husband, your wife, your boyfriend, your girlfriend, your little brother, your little sister, when your kids, your son, your daughter, when you see them going ham, when you see them addicted, when you see them coping, when you see them making dumb-ass decisions in their life, what about this prayer? Father, help them to as gracefully and as peacefully as possible get to their rock bottom so that they can get to the end of themselves. It could be the death of their ego and they can surrender. And guys, you know what the crazy thing is? It takes different things for everybody to reach their rock bottom. Like I told you, for me, it took emotional emptiness. It took a lot of drinking. It took a lot of promiscuity. It took a lot, and it took a demonic experience, and I hit my rock bottom. For other people, it takes heroin. For other people, it takes smoking crack from the back of a dumpster. And I don't look down on anybody that has to get there any worse than me, because I would have been in the same situation if I would have happened to have turned to crack. I just didn't happen to turn to crack. That wasn't my drug of choice. Do you feel me? Can we talk about this ish like it needs to be talked about? For some people, it takes jail, bro. Some people don't hit the rock bottom till they go to jail. Some people don't hit the rock bottom till they have a serious medical condition. Some people don't hit rock bottom until somebody in their family dies. What is it going to take for you to hit rock bottom, bro? Because rock bottom is the place where you can realize. And from the place of realization, you can come to yourself and you can make a decision to surrender, to no longer live by your ego, to no longer continue to give in to the things that are taking you down to the pits of hell and to destruction, into a life that you don't want to live. So may this be the day of the beginning of your rock bottom. I declare it over you, and I declare that you will be swift to make the appropriate decisions you need to make to rise from the ashes. Because once again, rock bottom is the solid foundation on which you can rebuild your life. I love you guys. All right, guys, we're going to take 3-4 minutes, couple minutes, and I'll answer any questions you guys got. Hit me with the question here. Somebody hit me with the question. We got a couple people tuned in. Thank you guys for staying all the way through. Hit me with any question, anything. It doesn't have to necessarily be about rock bottom. You want to ask me about anything at all? Ask me. Someone said, easy said, not easy to do. This is correct. Coming to realization, allowing ourselves to be humble enough to know that we can't solve our own issues, that's not easy. But it's the most important fight of our lives. The fight for our well-being, the fight for our health, the fight for our restoration. Somebody hit me with a pregunta. Y no me vayan a preguntar, ¿cuándo vas a hablar en español? Porque muchas personas siempre me preguntan eso. I'm like, ¿cuándo vas a aprender inglés? But we can do some of these in Spanish. All right, if y'all want to be a little bit shy, we don't have to do any questions right now. So I'll see if anybody has any questions. If not, I'll just make these last couple announcements. But we will be going... Okay, we got a question. Let me just say this announcement. We will be going live every Thursday at 6 p.m. All right, every Thursday at 6 p.m. This is how we're opening up the conversations and creating the community. It will not always be just me. We are actually scheduling. We are talking right now to a special guest that we will be jumping on here and doing the live together. But let's grow this thing, man. Let's have people join the conversation. Send this to somebody. Don't be shy. If we're talking about things, this is a place where we can talk about anything. And if we're talking about things that you know you, your family, your friends need to hear, share that. All right, we got a question from our boy Charles. He said, for someone going through an addiction and they know they are suffering with it, what would be the best approach to help them through this and anticipate the healing process? That is a great question. That's an awesome question. And in essence, the question is, someone's going through an addiction and they know they're going through an addiction. What are some steps that can happen? What are some things that they could take? Well, the first step is already taken, which that's amazing. If somebody knows they're going through an addiction, that's literally the first step. And the first step is actually admitting it, right? They say that denial is what will keep you in coping mechanisms and addictions for the longest amount of time. So let's play a hypothetical. Let's say I'm somebody and I know that I'm addicted. The first thing is to look at myself in the mirror for real, and to be like, yo, Rue, you have a problem with this. You're using this to cope. You can't stop doing this. You know, what's the proof that you have an addiction? This is the easy proof that you have an addiction. This is the definition of an addiction. If you know something is not really good for you, but you keep doing it anyway. Simple. It doesn't mean that you have to be strung out. Doesn't mean that you have to be homeless under a bridge. No. If you know something is not really good for you, but you keep doing it anyway, then you're addicted to that thing. It could be as simple as eating too much food. It could be as simple as whatever. Never getting any sleep. You know? So that's a great question. So first of all, admitting it. That is the number one thing. The second thing, honestly, is asking for help, man. We gotta ask for help. And there's a couple different ways that you can ask for help, right? The first thing that I would do is if you have a friend in your life or a mentor or a parent who's not going to judge you, who's not going to judge you for having and dealing with this addiction, because some people are so full of BS sometimes, then go talk to that friend. Schedule a coffee, ask them, hey, I want to take you out for coffee. Hey, can we jump on a phone call? And talk to a friend about it, because once you get it off your chest and you admit it, and it stops being a secret addiction and a secret sin, you already took a huge step towards being able to overcome it. So first step is admitting it to yourself. Second step is admitting it to someone else, and admitting it to your creator, admitting it to God, but admitting it to someone else. And with that other person, start formulating a plan for recovery. Now, I would say that the third step is with that other person that you trust, or a mentor, or go to a church, or connect with the community, something, formulate a process or a system so that you can start dealing with this thing. So that can be an inner healing program. I think that's one of the most powerful inner healing program. Therapy, right? And beginning to gain knowledge on the subject. So let's say hypothetically that this addiction was to porn. First step, hey, I got a problem with porn. I'm using it to cope. Second step, I got to talk to somebody about it. I don't want to live in this addiction forever. What can we do? Then you form a system. Part of that system will be inner healing program, going to therapy, locking up your phone, getting a third-party VPN so that you can't access porn, and you start taking steps. It's not going to be solved in a day, but if you really want to be free, you will take these steps, and I would say these are the first 3 steps. And so let's leave it there for a second. Admitting it to yourself, admitting it to someone else and to God, and then with that other person forming some kind of structure and game plan on how to start gaining leeway against this addiction, which will include some kind of inner healing program, books so that you can become knowledgeable about it, accountability talks, checking in with this person, and therapy. Great question. All right, we'll do 2 more questions. One of them, like emotionally. Okay, this person's saying, how can I believe she's saying, how can I get to the rock bottom of seeking other people's validation through their attention? Even though I know that my worth doesn't come from other people and it comes from God, I still haven't hit rock bottom of seeking validation through other people's attention. So another very important thing, and this goes to the first question too, is we have to speak to things as they are. We have to give them the right language. So I think the better way to ask that question there would be, admit I'm addicted to people's validation through their attention. Even though I intellectually know that my value doesn't come from other people, I'm realizing and I'm admitting, same first step from the other question, I'm admitting that I'm addicted to people's validation. That's great. So then let's follow so first admit it. Say, I am addicted to other people's validation. Being addicted doesn't make you a bad person. That's what I said, that's what I said on IG the other day on this reel. If y'all don't follow me on IG, go follow me on IG right now, at Rue Gracia. Being addicted doesn't make you evil. Society and the devil wants us to have this weird feeling about addiction. Oh, we can't talk about it. We can't. No, bro. Like, everybody's been addicted to stuff, bro. Let's call it like it is. So anyway, so first say, I'm addicted to other people's validation. Second step, same thing. Find somebody that you can talk to about it. A leader, a friend, an older sibling, a parent, a this or that, and tell them, say, hey, I've realized in my life, I've been taking an inventory of I realized that I'm addicted to people's validation. I don't want to be addicted anymore. talk to the Lord about it, talk to God about it, your creator, and then come up with a plan on how to attack these certain things. And admit the vehicle, because what is the vehicle? If you're addicted to validation and you're trying to seek validation through some certain ways, when you're walking down the street, you're wearing, I'm just giving an example, I'm not saying this is you, right? But girls, sometimes that are addicted to validation, they wear very sexy clothing so that they can get looks and stuff like that. Okay, you're going to war against that by not wearing that type of clothing. And if you get validation through social media, then you're going to war against that by taking 3 months off of Instagram. And that'll just be part of the system, you know? Great question. We're going to go to the last question here. Hi, Rue. Hey, what's up? How to approach someone close to you that you know has a specific addiction to drugs, but they hide it. Steph, this is a good question, and it's not an easy one to deal with. Let me just give you some perspective, and I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is, the only way to go about this. But first of all, remember that there's nothing that you can do to help that person if they're not ready to be helped yet. That's so important. There's nothing that you can do to help somebody else, even if you know and it's obvious that they're addicted, if they're not ready to be helped yet. Everybody needs to reach their own rock bottom. You can only help people that want to be helped. So the only thing you can do in this specific situation, Steph, is number 1, pray for them. What's the prayer? That the Creator allows them to reach their rock bottom as gracefully and as swiftly. Because only when they hit their rock bottom and they realize that they can't keep running to drugs as a solution will they fully surrender and fully seek that help. Do you get me? That's number 1. The only other thing you can do is be a friend to them. Be a friend to them. Be a person that loves them even though they're addicted to drugs. That if they ever call you, you have a conversation. Now, there is a certain thing in boundaries. That doesn't mean that you're going to give them drug money. That doesn't mean that they can show up to your house high at 3 o'clock in the morning and sleep on your couch. No, boundaries is boundaries. But that person should know that whenever they want to talk about their addiction, they can go to you and you're not going to judge them. That's the point. And it can even be as simple as telling them one day, hey, if you're ever going through anything at all, I want you to know that you can tell me anything and I'm not going to judge you. You can tell me that you're addicted to drugs. You can tell me that you killed somebody. I'm not going to judge you. I'm going to love you. But it takes a certain level of emotional maturity for you to even be able to say that with honesty. I can say that by the grace of God. I didn't used to be like that, but I've told my friends that, and that's true. My best friend, my brother, my this, that they can come to me and tell me, Rue, I've been freaking shooting up heroin I've done it 3 times and I didn't want to tell anybody. And honestly, not that that's a little thing, but I'm not going to judge them. I'm going to be like, damn, you must be really hurting. It's the perspective, it's the way you look at it. What I would think in my mind is that, wow, why are you hurting so bad that you thought that was the solution? And I wouldn't necessarily ask that in that moment, but I would just be there for them, So those are the answers to those questions. Not the only answers, of course. I don't pretend to have all the answers, but that's just some perspective. I love you guys. We'll be here next Thursday at 6 p.m. I dare you to share this with somebody. If you're not subscribed to the channel yet, subscribe right now. Turn on the bell notifications. I will see you guys next week. To my wave shapers, I love you. Bless you. See you next week.